Hi everyone, and welcome to my next video tutorial, which is going to be focused on filtering objects in Django. So we're going to utilize a Django filter so that we can learn how to proceed with filtering within our Django applications. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, of course, as always, the first thing that you need to do is have a simple Django project to which you want to apply the filtering to. So as you can see, I have a very simple project here up and running. And that's the first thing that you need to actually have set before you can get started. Right, now that you have it set up, let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, we want to install the Django filter package. Okay, so the Django filter package essentially is going to allow us to easily add in filtering capabilities within our Django application. So it's going to allow users to filter query sets dynamically. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, first thing that you want to do is within your virtual environment, you just want to install the Django filter library. So you can just go ahead and add that in. So we can say pip install Django filter. Take a moment. And there we go. So we've successfully installed the Django filter package. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to add Django filters to our list of installed apps so that we can make Django aware of the filtering functionality that is provided by this package. So all you need to do is you can just scroll down, and here we can see Django filters. So we can go ahead and copy that. And you want to head on over to your Django project, and you can navigate to your settings.py file. Okay, and we can just scroll down. Here we are, and I'm just going to put this right here at the end of my list of installed apps, like such. There we go. So I have Django filters in place. Now it doesn't really matter where you add this in, just make sure that it's in your list of installed apps and that you've added in Django_filters. Perfect. Now the next thing that I want us to do is I want us to create a clean app so that we can work with our models.py file, that we can create a filters.py file and go from there. So let's create a clean Django app. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say Django-admin start app, and I'm just going to make this a bit wider, and I'm going to call this let's call this e-commerce. That works. Let's just call this e-commerce. There we go. Let's minimize this, and now we can see we have an e-commerce app here. So let me go to my settings.py file, and I'm going to register this app as well. So it's called e-commerce, so e-commerce. Sure to add in a comma, and I just want to run my server just to make sure that there aren't any issues or whatnot. Okay. There we go, everything's running. Let me just refresh my web page, and there we go. Okay, so we've got our app set here. Perfect. So let's continue. Next thing that we want to do is we want to now go ahead and create a model that we're going to filter off. Okay, so let's go to e-commerce and let's go to our models.py file. Now in this models.py file, what we're going to do is create a sample model. So I'm just going to create a simple product model here that's going to house name, category, and price for our product. So in our models.py file within our recently created e-commerce app, what we're going to do is just that. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that model. So I'm going to say class product. Okay, and within that, we're going to pass through models.model, capital. Okay, and now we just want to define our attribute / field. So first we're going to have a name attribute, and that's going to be a char field. So we expect, of course, text. So we're going to say models.char field. That will be the data type. And the max length, the max number of characters I want per value of this name, I'm just going to set it as 100. So this is going to be our product name essentially. Then we want to define a category attribute. So to set the product category, so I'm going to say category. And the models, of course, is also going to be a char field. And it set the max length also to 100 characters. Okay, so we've got that set. Then we want to set the price. So for this, we're going to use a decimal field. So a decimal field is very similar to a float. So we're going to have, for example, 22.7 or 50.2, essentially. Well, we want to allow that functionality. So we're going to say models now dot decimal field, and we can set the max digits as well. So I'm going to set this just to 10, and decimal places that I want this to be set to. So we're going to say decimal underscore places, and we're going to set that to 2. Right, perfect. Next thing that I want us to do is I want us to create a string method, which is going to provide string representation of each product. And this is very helpful when we're just debugging and looking in the Django admin for what our object name is. So we can define that string method. So I'm going to say def _str . And within that, we're going to pass self. So we're going to refer to the instance of the object. And all we need to do then is we need to say return self.name. So we're going to return the product name for display purposes for each object. So they don't say object 1, object 2, object 3. So instead it's going to return each product object's name when we're looking at it through our list display within the Django admin. Okay, so we've got that all set up. All right, so just to reiterate, so the name attribute here is to store the name of the product. The category attribute here is going to categorize the product if it's in electronics, clothing, etc. And then we have a decimal field for our price attribute here to represent the product price. And this is going to allow 2 decimal places here. All right, so this is our model in place. Perfect. So now what we can do is we can make our migrations. So what you can do for now is you can just go ahead and say Python manage.py, make migrations. Okay, so we've created that product model, and then we want to push it to our database. So now we can say Python manage.py migrate. Okay, there we go. We've migrated everything. We've migrated, of course, this model, and of course, we've ensured that that has been pushed based off our e-commerce app as well. So we already created an e-commerce app, which we also need to migrate as well. So just keep that in mind. So we kind of hit 2 birds with 1 stone here. All right, so we've created the product model. So now comes in the filtering. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a filter class. Okay. And we're going to use the data here that we've defined in our models.py file to filter based off category and off price. So what you can do is navigate to your Explorer here, and here in e-commerce, we can right click on e-commerce, say new file, and we're going to create a filters.py class. So we're going to say filters.py. Right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you want to import Django filters. So remember, that was the app that we installed in our settings.py file. So for clarity, if you go here, remember earlier we installed the Django underscore filters. Now we want to utilize that app. So we're going to import it in our filters.py class. Right. So here in filters.py, we can just say import Django underscore filters. Okay, and then we want to import that model class here that we have, which is product, excuse me. So we want to import that. So we can say from.models. So this is going to look in the models.py file here within our directory. And then we want to import from this models.py file that we have here, that particular model name / class name, which is product. So we want to import product so that we can work with the attributes, namely category and price to be specific. There we go. So we've got that imported. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create a product filter class, which is going to inherit from the Django filters filter set, which provides a framework for filtering a query set based on our user input. So to do so, we can say class, and then you can give your class any name you desire. So I'm going to call it product filter. The reason, because our model name is called product, and filter is going to give it a more of a unique touch. And then of course we're going to inherit the Django underscore filters dot filter set. Okay, and that's going to allow us to utilize the framework for essentially filtering a query set based on the input that we add in from the user. Perfect. So we've got Django underscore filters dot filter set. The next thing that we need to do is we need to define our metadata. So we're going to say class meta. And here is where we're going to bring in the model that we want to utilize for the filtering. In our case, it's going to be the product model. So we can say model equals product. Perfect. And then we want to specify the field. So we're going to say fields equals. And here we want to define the fields that we want to filter. So first, we're going to work with category. So we want to allow filtering by exact category match. So here, I'm going to put in category. And this is matching the field that I have here, which is category or attribute, you could say. Okay, and we want to make sure that we filter by an exact category match. So here, what we need to do is create a list here and type in exact. So we want an exact match. Next, we want to define the next field that we want to filter by. So we're going to set this by price. And of course, price is one of those attributes that we've defined here. And based on price here, we want to filter according to less than and greater than in terms of the price, according to a specific value. So here we can just put LT for less than and add in another option here, which is GT, which is greater than. Just make sure you add in a comma at the end. So these are the fields that we're adding in place here. Okay. So we've got that all into place. So we've got our filter functionality here in place in our filters.py file. Make sure you've got that set up and ready to go. All right, perfect. Great, so let's continue. Next thing that we want to do is we want to go to our views.py file so we can set all of this up into place. So let's go ahead and do just that. Okay. Now, what you want to do, of course, is with your views.py file, you also want to make sure that you also have a template that you want to apply this to. So before we go out to the rendering phase, we also want to make sure we've got our template in place. So in here, in e-commerce, what you want to do is right click, say new folder, and all you want to do is you want to go ahead and call this template. Okay, just like that. So you just want to call it template. So here is where all of our templates will be rendered from. So we're doing app level template handling, and you can right click in templates and say new file, and I'm going to call this product list.html. So here we have this HTML which we're going to render in our views, and we'll also configure our URL as well, just to make sure we've got that in place as well. Okay, so make sure you've created that template for now. We'll return to this in a moment, so just make sure you have that template there. Okay, so now for the view. Okay, so let's just remove this comment. Okay, now the first thing that we want to ensure that we do is that we import the product model. So again, we want to import this product model, and we did that in the filters.py file. We can also do it in the views.py file. So I'm going to copy this functionality that I have here and say from.models import product. Next thing that I want to do is I want to import the filter. So we have our filters.py file, so we can just say from.filters. And then we want to import according to the class name for our filter, which was product filter. And you can just add that in. So now we've imported our product model and our product filter. Perfect. Let's now go ahead and create our view. So we're not going to, we're just going to set it up. So we can just call this def, and we can call this product underscore list as the name, pass through the request. And all we want to do first of all is we want to get all the products from the database. So to do so, we can assign this in a variable, we can assign this in products. And then all we want to do is we want to query the ORM, and we want to retrieve all of the objects in our database. So according to the product model, you can say product.objects.all. And this is going to allow you to get all the products from the database that you have. Next thing that we need to do is we need to go on ahead and we need to create a filter instance with our get parameters. But before we do that, I just want to give some more clarity on what we're doing here. So we are retrieving all the instances of the product model from our database, and this is resulting in a query set containing all of our products. Okay. Next, we're just going to create a variable called product underscore filter. So this is going to be for our filter, and that's going to take in two parameters. So what we're going to want to do is we want to call in our filter. So we're going to say product filter and then the two parameters. So the first thing is it's going to take in a request.get. Okay, so we're going to say request.get. Okay, this takes the request.get data, which includes any filtering parameters that's been submitted by the user through our filter form. Next, second parameter is going to be query set equals products. and that is equivalent to the variable we defined here for all of our products. So the query set equals products argument. So this is going to specify the initial set of products to filter. So it's going to take what is currently there, and then it's going to allow you to filter based on what is set. Okay. Now the filter instance is going to applies the user defined filters to the query set itself. Okay. So that is how everything is being done here. Now, the next thing that we of course need to do is we need to render this out in a template. Now, of course, we have a template here, but we will also get to our URL, so don't worry. So here's the product list. Okay, and what we want to do now is we just want to render all of this out into the following template. So we can just say return render, pass through the request, and we want this to be done on the product-list.html page. So we can say product-list.html. Then we want to pass through, of course, the template was the filter context. So to do so, we can create a key value pair here. So we can just create our dictionary. So our key is going to be, we can call this filter, and then the value, okay, is going to be product filter, which we're going to pass through to our template. So we can say product underscore filter, just like so. Okay, perfect. So make sure you've got this set. I will zoom out here so you can see the logic. So this is what we have so far. So essentially it was the following line that we have here. Okay, we're going to render the product underscore list product dash list.html template, and we're going to pass the product filter instance to it, allowing us to display the filter form and filtered results in the template for product list.html. Right, so let's go ahead and continue. So now we need to create the template itself. So we can head on to product list, and after that we'll set up our URLs, and then we will test the process. Right, so product list.html. First of all, we can just say HTML. We just want to insert basic tags for now. Okay, and what we can do is we can go ahead and just set a head tag as well. So just some basic tags here. So set a title. We're going to call this product list. Okay, perfect. And we can then start opening the body tag. Okay, and what we can say here is h1 product list. And what we want to do now is we want to set up our filtering form where we're going to query. So we can set that up as saying form method equals get. Okay, so this is our form submission via our get method. Okay, so this one will use the get method to submit data, allowing our URL parameters to be created. Next, what we want to do is we want to pass through filter.form.as_p. So that is essentially the key that we've passed in our view when we're rendering it. So our filter, which will consist of our product filter, and we're going to style this as a form here, and it's going to be as a paragraph, so as paragraphs. Okay, so it's rendering the filter form as a HTML paragraph elements, making it easy to style essentially. Right, let's continue. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we just want to add in a submit button for filtering. So we can just say button type, and we can just say submit, and we can just say filter, just like such. So there's going to be a filter button that we can submit when we pass through the filtering. All right, perfect. Next thing that we want to do is we want to iterate through the list. So let's get started. So first I'm going to add in the unordered list here. And we first of all want to go on ahead and iterate over the filtered query set. And this is going to be accessible through filter.qs. So what we would do is we can say, for example, for product in filter.qs. Okay, so it's going to iterate over our filtered products, and this is going to contain only the products that match the applied filters that we have set. Okay, after which what we want to do is we can indent and we can say list item. So what's going to be displayed? So we want it to display all of the product names that have been filtered. So we can say product.name. Okay. Okay, and then next to it we can put in the price. So we can just put in dollars, and then for example we can put in product dot price like such. Okay. And that's going to essentially display the product name and the product price that we have set. Okay. Now, in the case that that it's empty and there are no matching products, what you can do is you can use an empty tag here. So in line of your for tag, you can just put in empty. So if no results were matched, so let me just style this a bit better. Let me zoom out a bit as well. What you can simply say is li, so the list item, you can just say no products found. Okay, so this is the message that's going to be received when no products match that filter. And after you've done that, you can just say end or to end this if statement. Okay, so that is what we're going to set here into place. Okay, so that is the functionality that we need in place for our product list. So I'll just make sure that I just tighten this up. So this is what we need to ensure that we render everything out into our template accordingly and that it works perfectly as it should for our filter. So make sure that you've added in everything as is, of course, into place. Now, the last thing we need to do is we need to set up our URL so that we can go to the relevant URL for this all to work properly as it should. So let's go ahead and do just that. Okay. Now, the first thing that we want to do, of course, here in our e-commerce app here, is we can right click on it, say new file, and we can call this urls.py. So we're creating a urls.py file here in our e-commerce app here. Okay, so we've got that. Right, we've got quite a lot of files open here, so let's close these for now. Okay, so in our urls.py file, which we created in our e-commerce app, we then want to open our main urls.py file of our Django application and go to URLs. Okay, and this is our main urls.py file. You'll see it also has that pass here for your admin in place. So make sure in your urls.py file, your main one, that you have the include function here in place. So by default, you have the pass function, but make sure you also have the include function as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this up. So I already have a URL pattern here in place for my blog URLs, which is from my blog app here. So we need to set one for e-commerce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say pass, and here I'm going to set the starting name as, let's say, products, or yeah, products is good. And then I'm going to say include, and I want to include all the URLs that I have defined in the e-commerce.urls app here. So I can just refer to that name. So e-commerce URLs. So here I can similarly just put in e-commerce.urls and add in a comma at the end. So now we've linked up all our URLs to be connected. They will all start with products / and the URL that we defined natively in urls.py. So we've got that set. We've got it in place in our main urls.py file where you'll see the admin URL. So now in our urls.py file, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set up and connect the URLs to the view now. So let's open the views.py. So we want to connect all of this now to a URL. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to connect the two. So what I'm going to do here, just to make it a bit more simpler, so in my urls.py file here, okay, let me just get some logic here that I have set previously before from my blog, and I'm just going to add it here. And we're just using this as a reference, so I'm just going to remove what I don't need. All right, okay, so you can add all of this into your urls.py file in your e-commerce app. So what we're doing is we are importing the pass function to create our own URLs. We are importing all of the views from our views.py file, which we have here. And we're setting up a URL pattern. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set a route name. So I'm going to call this product. Let's call this product, and we can call this dash We can call this product filter. Okay, we can just keep it like that. And then the view here is going to be called product list. So we want to reference that. So I'm going to say product underscore list, and then the name here you can also add into place here. So what I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to set the name into place here. So let's go ahead and do just that. All right, so let's continue. So what I think we should do to make it clearer is we can put in the dashes. The product dash filter, and for the name I like to mirror the value of the route name here as well. So product dash filter. So usually the value here that it's been associated is very useful if you have URLs in your Django templates, just to refer and redirect to that URL according to the route name. So just an extra tip there to keep in mind. Right, now the next thing that we want to look at is the URL defined in our main urls.py file. So if we go to our main project urls.py file where our admin URL is situated, you can see here we have products. Now, a very simple, easy mistake to overlook, and I've done it lots of times, is make sure that you add in a / here at the end. It's very important that you do that, so make sure you add in that /, okay? Because what's essentially going to happen is all the URLs from our e-commerce app here is going to start with products /, and then it's going to be, the second part will be the route name of the URLs natively defined in the e-commerce app itself. So let's go ahead and test this out for clarity. So we're going to first of all start off with localhost /products / and then our route name here. So let me demonstrate. So you want to make sure your server's running. If not, let's just restart. Okay. All right, so let's start off. So we're going to first have /, and then we're going to have in our main urls.py file products / okay, because this URL here, product filter, is coming natively from the e-commerce app. So what you're going to want to do is just put in products / which is from our main urls.py file that we've declared here. And then any route name that you have after that, you can just add that in like such and press enter. And there we go. So as you can see now, this is our template, which is being rendered according to our view. We are returning and rendering the product list.html, which we have defined in our templates directory here as product list. And this is what's being output as of this moment. Okay, so let's close this up for now. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to want to do before we return to everything else is we're going to want to create some products. So as you can see now, it's showing no products found, okay, because we don't have any products and we haven't gone ahead and actually listed everything out. So let's go ahead and add in some products. Now, a simple way is to just create a super user and create products in the Django admin, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's stop our server and run python manage.py, create super user. Let me make this a bit wider. And I'm going to call it Arno2. Skip the email, add in a password. Again. Okay, and run the server. Okay, there we go. And now we can just duplicate this tab here so we can return, and we want to now put in here admin. So we go to our super user. Let's move this here. So we have the admin, then we go to our product list. So now what you want to do is you just want to enter in your super user credentials, which you just created. Perfect. Now, after doing so, you can just go ahead and log into your Django admin. Great. Now we can see here, of course, we haven't got anything set up, but now we need to register our model. So what you can do now is you can head on over to your app. So in our case, it's e-commerce. Then you want to open up your models.py file and your admin.py file. So from your models.py file, you want to import the product model in admin.py. So to do so, as before, you can say from.models import product. So that's going to correlate to product here. Then you want to register it. You can say admin.site. We're using the admin module to register the product model on the admin site. And we just need to put product within the parentheses here. Make sure that you reload your terminal. Okay, and you can refresh again. And here you can see under the e-commerce app, we have a product model, which of course is correlating in our structure. So e-commerce, in the models.py file, we have a product model or class that we've registered in our admin.py file with the admin module, and we've registered it. Great, now let's click on product. Now we can add a product, and now we can see here, we can go ahead and add them into place. So let's go ahead and create a few products. So let's start with the name, and we can call this product, let's say, orange juice. Okay, that is part of, let's say, drinks. And we can set the price here, $3.99. Save. Okay, orange juice, and we can see here the string representation is showing orange juice, not object one, because in models.py we have a string method here which returns according to the instance of the object's name here instead of object one. So you can see it's going to show the products here manually. So let's add another product. Let's call this tea drinks, and set that as $2.99. Move tea. Okay, let's say Fanta orange drinks. Set that as $5.99. Okay, so we have a category here set for our drinks. Let's go ahead and add in some foods. Let's say we can add lettuce. We can say food. And let's say $4.99. Okay, add a product. Let's say we can add pizza. Or pizza. $9.99. Oh, sorry. Food. $9.99. And there we go. So we've got some variety. So if we look here, orange juice is part of the drinks category, $3.99. We have tea here, which is part of the drinks category, $2.99. Fanta orange drinks, $5.99 Fanta orange. And then we also have lettuce, food, $4.99. And pizza, food, $9.99. So there's some examples. So you can see we have two categories. We have food and we also have drinks. Okay, so we've got that into place. So we've added in some of our objects to be testing with. So if we go back to product list here, what we can do is just refresh. And as you can see there, we can see that we have all of the products that we have currently. So we have orange juice, we have tea, we have Fanta orange, we have lettuce, and we have pizza. So what we can do is we can go ahead and set all of this up. So we know in the category, we have drinks and we have food. And we can go ahead and set this up for the price, if it's less than and if it's greater than. So let's go ahead and do some testing now. Right, so let's get started. So we know we have orange juice, tea, and Fanta orange, all part of drinks, and lettuce and pizza part of food. So if we click here in category, we can see we can choose drinks. Okay, if it doesn't appear, you'll need to manually type it in exactly according to how you defined it here. So if you see the category drinks, you need to manually actually type in literally the capitalization as well. So keep that in mind. All right, so we put in drinks, less than, let's say, I want it to be less than, I would say, let's say $5.99. And I want it to be greater than, let's say, $2.99. I'm going to say filter, and it's going to return to me orange juice. Okay, so I looked for a product that is less than $5.99 and is greater than $2.99, and only orange juice fulfills this. So if we were to take a look here at our list here, so tea was $2.99. So of course, tea is $2.99 and the price here is looking for greater than. So it's not looking for greater than equal to, so tea is omitted. Let's go to our other product. We had Fanta orange, and that is $5.99 here. So because we said less than $5.99, not less than equal to, it also omits Fanta orange. And because we had drinks here, it of course omitted pizza and lettuce. So this is how we can see we've added in filtering according to category, price less than, and price greater than. So all of these statements need to be equals. And as you can see here in the category here, it's filtering according to drinks, where the price is less than $5.99 and the price is greater than $2.99. As you can see, we've got this all into place. All right, so we can see we've got this set up as it should be. All right, so we got that in place and we've got the filtering working. So we can also go ahead and test this further with food, for example. Let's say we want to test it with food. Now, a bit of extra functionality that you can add in here is like a for example, a link or a button here just to refresh this page for you. So I would need to have to re-enter this field in here to start from scratch. So a bit of extra functionality that you can look into for that. So let's test food now. So what I'm going to do here is category. I'm going to put food and I'm going to say less than, let's say less than, let's say $10.99 this time. And greater than, let's say $3.99. So that should show both food. So lettuce is $4.99 and pizza is $9.99. So lettuce here, of course, it's going to be already less than, and greater than here is $3.99. So lettuce is also greater than. And of course, we can see here that pizza is also less than $10.99. So if I say filter, it should only output lettuce and pizza. So as you can see here, we've got everything set up and into place. We've got our filtering in set here in motion. So that's how you can add in filtering for your objects in Django using the Django filter library. Okay, so that is how you can do that. Now, one last thing that I will show you, just so to make it easier for you, let's say you did a filter. Let me show you how you can just go ahead and have like a an option here where you can just refresh the page. So that's the last thing that we will look into. Right, so let's get started. So what you want to do is head on over to your templates in e-commerce, templates, go to product list. And what you want to do is you want to scroll down and here we have our button. So you can just create a link of sorts. You can just say href equals, and what you want to do in quotes, you want to open a curly parentheses like such, put in a percentage symbol, and you want to say URL. And in here, you want to put in the URL and of course percentage symbols at the end. And then we can give the link a name here. We can just say clear results as the link. Okay, and here you want to refer to the URL that you've defined. So here where it's important where you defined your name value here. So it's product-filter, so it's referring to that. And that's going to allow you to just refresh the page. So make sure you've added that in. So just a simple link. You can style it as a button as you want. I think this is good enough just as a test. Okay, and of course what we can do is just run our server. Refresh. Okay, and now we can say clear results, and that's going to just refresh the page, and you can see that's all gone done now. All right, guys, so that's it. That's how you can essentially go on ahead and filter objects in Django. So as you can see, there are a lot of things that you can do and work with. So for extended knowledge, I would recommend taking a look at the documentation here of Django filters and the examples they provide you, as well as how you can use it with the Django REST framework as well. So do keep that in mind. There is some docs available for the DRF integration docs as well, where you can just go ahead and look into it into more detail, as well as the documentation here that is provided on Django filters as well, which is documented for you in this comprehensive detail here. So I'll also be sure to attach this particular link in the description below this video, along as the package link too, along with that. Alright guys, so that's it for this video tutorial, and as always, thank you for the support and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.